So I'm going to be spending a lot of time in the next couple months right here in the official Law Abiding Biker video editing studio. Welcome back, Bikeaholics. Ryan Urlacher here, lawabidingbiker.com. Always thank you for checking back in. So this is just a quick behind the scenes, so to speak, because a lot of you asked questions about the documentary films, the motorcycle documentary films. This will be my fourth official long, big project documentary film. If you want to get any of our documentary films, if you're new, I will link to it in the description below, but it's lawabidingbiker.com/ride-now. One of those documentary films is our Canada documentary. There's our Reno documentary. Last year, we did the Midwest trip. I believe it was 12 states in 10 days. The edit I'm going into now is going to be this year's trip, which was in the summer. And it was basically 8 days. I think we went through 7 states. Anyways, it was to get really to the north rim of the Grand Canyon. So it's always, as a creator, I just got started on this really yesterday. And so it's quite a process to me. It's very rewarding as a creator to do these type of projects, which really for me, they are absolutely passion projects. I love filming and making, documenting the motorcycle scene and these kind of trips. So it can be a little bit overwhelming. And so some of the processes are the last couple days. I mean, there's a whole bunch that goes into it, and every creator has their own, methods and the way their mind works. But when you talk about one of these films that I do, we were out for 8 days on the road, and I'm running and gunning with all my film gear that I have to take. It sits on ice on some large raid drives behind me until fall, when I can actually at least try to get into that editing process. So one of the first things I do is literally just sit down and watch a lot of the files, and I start getting ideas, and there's just so much film and things that I take. And so when I'm looking over those, let me tell you this, that there's so much footage, and that's pretty standard, is, maybe hours and hours and hours of footage, and maybe less than 10%, 15% of that footage will actually make it into a documentary film. So I really just have to look at it and start getting in my mind, what story I'm going to tell, because that's a big part of it. Is there's different stories, and sometimes it can be multiple stories in there. Anyways, it's just the way my mind works, and I will start gathering all that and getting some basic ideas about how I'm going to start it, where I'm going to go with it. And of course, part of the process, is filming it and doing all that. This is the other very, very creative, and although it's a lot of work and stress, like I say, it's very rewarding as a creator to do these type of passion projects and be able to just really do it the way I want to do it and tell a story. So of course, getting all that in my mind in some sort of direction, I'll tell you, the hardest part is getting right here. I kind of relate it to an artist, maybe a painter, for a lack of a better example, with a blank canvas. And I've got all this video on RAID drives, and I've got some ideas, and sometimes I just sit and stare at the editing software because you don't exactly know where to start. That only makes sense probably if you're watching and you have that creative mindset, and that's part of the process to go through. And then you start getting some stuff laid down, and you may change it a little bit, but it gets easier as I lay some stuff down. And some music tracks. I spend a lot of time with music and licensing, and trying to figure out what will fit. And anyways, you don't have the whole story, but you have somewhat of an idea. And as I'm in the editing software, and as I go day after day doing that, in between, of course, my full-time job and running a family and trying to run the rest of Law Abiding Biker Media, that story starts developing, and I can tell more of the story as I go along and get deeper into more of the footage, if that makes sense. One of the other real big questions is, not for the faint of heart, this takes a lot of time. And last year's documentary film, The Midwest, I tracked it all, and not the filming part on the trip. That's a whole nother game. But just here in the editing room every night after work on the weekends, I was close to, I believe, 175 hours of editing to make a proper, documentary film. So a lot of work and effort goes into these films, but again, they're passion projects, and I know how much all of you appreciate them and enjoy them. And going into the winter here, check them out, because a lot of you where you live, it's getting cold, or a lot of you up north, in Canada, getting snow even here. Obviously in the US, a lot of us get snow. And so hopefully you can just kick back and watch these films and kind of live those documentary, like you're in that documentary film. And even though you may not be able to ride at the current time, hopefully I really look to those films to entertain bikers, to inspire bikers. And believe me, my first ones, we have the other, I forgot the Colorado documentary too. That was actually my very first one. I know they've gotten better over time. I'm continuing to make my craft better, and you learn new techniques. And anyways, they're all still really relevant, and they get a ton of views. And really, that's the reason that I continue to create. So anyways, I hope that just gives you a little insight into what goes on here. And if I'm in the private Facebook group a little bit less with the patron members and that kind of stuff, I've still got to do the podcasts and the regular release of YouTube videos and the emails. And anyways, I'm not complaining, but I have started. Look forward to that. And I try to get it done before Christmas. It's early November right now. We'll see. And I always push to try to get them out for the holiday season. So anyways, thanks for listening. And if it's not interesting to you, sorry, but I've been asked over the years, and I wanted to put something out, a little bit of what goes into these documentary films. And yeah, I don't have a staff for that or an editor. I make these films 100% by myself. All right. I'm glad to know that many of you out there enjoy them. Peace. I'm out.